Hello everyone, my name is Karaoke, and you are watching Furry Fandom Stories.
Well, this year was interesting. Hello again, Internet. I'm Frank Baldwin, aka Sandy Brushtail, and welcome back to another edition of Furry Fandom Stories, the show that takes you to the UK's largest furry con, dumps you in the lobby, and just leaves you to it. It's that time of year again. Yep, Confuzzled has come and gone, and I suspect that we all have our own perspectives on what has gone past. Last year's total number of attendees was 1,908. This year's attendance figure was 2,116. This is the year where Confuzzled broke the 2K barrier. And it wouldn't be just Confuzzled reaching a milestone, this would be my 10th convention. The theme of the convention this year was spies and secret agents. Sure, why not? But before I go into the meat and potatoes of the convention, I just want to give a quick summary of my accommodation. I decided to book a lot earlier than I did last year, so I booked my place at the end of October. By then the Hilton was on the verge of selling out, and there were more than a few attendees asking for roommates. But I didn't want the hassle of sharing a room with somebody I didn't know, and also, I didn't want to wait until the Crown Plaza opened up. Yeah, you get first dibs on the rooms, but this year I decided to go stay somewhere else. But on a bright note, I wouldn't be staying at that shitty Ibis again. This year I would be staying at the Premier Inn on the other side of the NEC. The breakfast is not included in the room price. You do have to pay a little bit extra when you book your room, but with a 4-night stay in a Premier Inn with the breakfast service and just buying myself a non-resident sponsor badge, I saved myself around £90. If you've been following my Twitter feed over the past several months, you might have noticed this. Last year I was approached by BBC Radio Bristol to do a little bit of an interview about the furry fandom and how it changed my life for the better. If you're interested in having a look at it later, it's still pinned to my Twitter feed. Seeing as my room at the Premier Inn wasn't going to be ready until after 2 PM, I decided to take my time on the way down to Birmingham, so I decided to catch a later train, and they weren't all that crowded. I decided to check into the Premier Inn first, and after getting lost around the NEC trying to make my way to the Hilton, I didn't get to register until gone 3 PM. The only event of note I actually went to before the opening ceremony was Fursuiting 101. Seeing as I have had my fursuit head for just over a month now at time of recording, I felt it would be best if I did some brushing up on the fundamental basics. After going to Fursuiting 101, I do what I usually do around the hotel waiting for opening ceremony to start. And this year, we were going to see an old convention mascot get reinvented.
Dr. Mercury has successfully rebuilt Brock. He is stronger. He is better now.
Faster.
And now we ask you to help us reveal Brock in his new remade glory. On the count of 3. 1,
2, 3. I gotta say, that Made by Mercury did a fantastic job on the new Brock suit. It looks incredible. Keeping in line with the convention's theme, there was a convention-wide activity going on, codenamed Tradecraft. Badger mission briefing open urgently, top secret? Greetings, agent in training. Welcome to Training Academy, a British agency of detection, global blah 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 blah. You have been placed for the following team strike. You were placed into this team after detailed analysis of your individual skills, core personality traits, and biometric samples. What the fuck is this bollocks? Oh, so that's what this is. An intel point is in this envelope to get you started. Collect as many as you can and place them in the tokenizer in the lobby. Be careful to put them in the slot for your team. The team with the most intel points by the closing ceremony will be the winners. I will graduate from the academy with honours. Please read the con book for full rules, but in brief, find ways to collect blah blah blah. Now, I don't mean to piss on anybody's chips who actually took part in this activity and found it fun, but I decided not to get involved. When talking to Shadow Raccoon, he said it reminded him of one of those team-building exercises you get at corporate getaways. Well, moving on. After the opening ceremony, I did decide to suit, and I did duck my head into the dances for a bit between running to the Fursuit lounge to cool off every 20 minutes. Also, I did manage to pop up on Shadow Raccoon's live streaming that night. But I did decide to call it early, and at around half midnight I went back to the Premier Inn. After having breakfast, I managed to meet a couple of attendees who were also staying at the Premier Inn, and I was shown a much more quicker and shorter route to the Metropole Hilton. The first event I attended that day was a lecture about the history of furries in the United Kingdom. The one big aspect I took away from that lecture was, it seemed to me that in America many people found the furry fandom through cartoons. But in the UK, a majority of people, well, back in, say, the 90s at least, found the furry fandom through books. If you're interested in either watching the lecture or listening to it, it is available on YouTube, and I'll leave a link in the doodly-doo. After the lecture, I went to see the animals of Gentle Shore Wildlife Centre, who was the charity Confuzzled was supporting this year. If you've been following local UK news over the past few months, you would know that they had a grave misfortune. Back in March 2019, Gentle Shore Wildlife Centre had a devastating fire which saw some of their animals get trapped and sadly die in the blaze. Even before the convention, attendees were pouring in donations to help rebuild, and they had brought along some of their animals. There was a tortoise, several species of bird of prey, including a kestrel, a falcon, and more than a few owls. They'd even brought along a skunk, and it was also a good chance to make a donation. After seeing the animals at Gentle Shore, I went along to the Motorfirst meet, and the big attraction for me was a Nissan Skyline R34. Now, I cannot put this point across more bluntly. I sodding love that car. Whenever I'm playing a racing game, be it Forza Motorsport or Gran Turismo or Need for Speed, I always have a Nissan Skyline R34 in my virtual garage. Just listen to the thing. After blowing my load over some machinery, I went along to a furry YouTuber panel that was hosted by Shadow Raccoon, Leon the Fox, Blue Dragon, and, of course, Artemis Wishford. I managed to pick up some really good information and advice on how to properly present my videos, and some editing tips and tricks, and learn the basics of analytics. I decided not to stay for the Q&A session. Instead, I went on my first lap of the dealer's den. This year the dealer's den at Confuzzled exploded. There was over 100 different dealers and small businesses selling a whole range of goods, from t-shirts, books and rave gear to artists offering commissions, fursuit tailors and fursuit parts suppliers. Seriously, my mind was blown on just how much stuff was available. Saying that, there was an issue I had with a particular dealer when I showed interest in wanting to purchase a pair of fursuit feet. And this particular dealer wanted cash. £350. So you can imagine my frustration when I had to rush away from dealer's den and go around the NEC looking for a free-to-use ATM, then to get the money, rush back to the Hilton, go to this dealer's table, and then being informed that the paws were sold. But still, on a bright side, at least I won't have to visit any more cash points for the rest of the con. So, dealer's den, my swag. I bought myself yet another tail, a sound-activated light-up face mask, a steel fox medallion to hang from my collar, a copy of the book Furry Nation by Joe Strike, a couple of t-shirts, and an easy cool-down collar, and a new pair of hand paws as my old ones were beginning to fall apart. Saturday night there was karaoke, but it would have clashed with a dance I always go to. Rock night. Thanks to the easy cool down collar, I did manage to last longer with my fursuit head on for rock night. As for the music, Alec did play some pirate punk, but there was also a lot of great rock tunes from Drowning Pool, Metallica, Korn, Marilyn Manson and Iron Maiden. But still, no Nirvana, no Pearl Jam, no Alice in Chains, no Smashing Pumpkins, and for that, Rock Night will be given 4 stars out of 5. For every shitty pirate punk warbler that the DJ spun, could have been a classic Seattle sound grunge banger. I did stay in suit for a little bit longer, and I did shake my tail a bit in Strider's set, but I wanted to get back to the premiere in at a reasonable hour. Fursuit Fiasco was in the morning. As I've said in my Confuzzled 2018 video, Fursuit Fiasco is a great showcase of just how fun and goofy the fandom can be. After the number of wipeouts last year, the physicality of the games was toned down quite a lot. Play Your Cards Right made a comeback, adding that needed audience participation. Next game had Brock make an appearance, as fursuiters had to guess what pose Brock was making and try to perfectly match that pose. Afterwards was a team game, the Racket and Ball Slalom of Death. That's not the official name, it's just something I came up with. Similar to an egg and spoon race, players were given a tennis bat and a large ball and had to balance it while going through the slalom. To make things interesting, a rope was held up by 2 convention crew members, adding a mid-course obstacle to spice things up. Next game was charades. That really wasn't charades.
Why did you have to make this so complicated? It's just charades.
Yeah, but Fursuiters are way too good at charades usually. That's the problem.
This isn't charades, this is improv!
Does anybody have...
After that was a game about spotting an assassin, I think, but I didn't quite understand the rules as I had gone for a toilet and vape break when they were explaining. Then, to finish off, was a callback to last year's finale, where first, second and third places were determined by Scramble. I'm going to give the 2019 Fursuit Fiasco 4 stars out of 5, and the missing star is mainly due to the misunderstanding of what charades is. But still, no musical chairs or musical statues, and that's always a plus. After Fursuit Fiasco, I popped back to the dealer's den so I could have some alterations done for my paws in time for my photo shoot time slot. Seeing as these alterations would take about 3 hours, I made a quick dash back to the Premier Inn to pick up my old paws so I wouldn't be unprepared for the photo shoot. Whilst I was waiting around the hotel for my time slot to open up, I decided to go to a social where people were demonstrating circus skills. Here they were demonstrating basic baton twirling, balloon modelling, and I was learning the basics of juggling. Don't book me for birthdays or bar mitzvahs just yet. For this year, Confuzzled decided to use a time slot system rather than just randomly popping up at the photo shoot. Because, well, it would be a lot more convenient for both attendees and the photographers. For the set piece this year, there was a platform above my head and a podium with a display case on top of it was hanging down from it. And I had a rope tied around my waist. And the photographer told me, reach up to the display case. I have a feeling that this was Brock's most treasured possession and we were either A, trying to steal it, or B, getting it back for him. Anyway, it's supposed to be a parody of the famous scene from the first Mission Impossible film. After the photo shoots, I popped back into Dealer's Den to pick up my new paws. Now, I wanted to have blue claws on the end of each digit, but unfortunately there was an odd number of blue claws, so I decided to think a little bit more creatively. As you can see, the colours of each claw alternate between blue and white. And also, the paw pads match my jersey. Also, I managed to pick up a couple more t-shirts as well. As for the rest of the day, there wasn't really any event that I felt like attending, and I just ended up hanging about with some friends I haven't seen in a while, and I even ended up chatting with Corey Coyote.
He's quite a nice chap, really.
As for that evening, I did suit for a little bit, and also popped my head into the dances. But again, wanted to make my way back to Premier Inn at a reasonable hour, because Monday morning was Fursuit parade time. As I've said in my Just for the Weekend video, I prefer Jeff D's Fursuit walk as opposed to Confuzzled's Fursuit parade. But this year, I wouldn't have to worry about my makeup running, as this was going to be Sandy's Confuzzled Fursuit parade debut. There was a delay at the start when all the fursuiters were assembling outside the main stage area, and if I said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. The air conditioning of the Hilton Metropole sucks. It just sucks. There was one uncomfortable moment when I had my first run-in with a creepy fur. And I'm not going to go into any details because I don't want to give that guy any more mentions on this video. At the start of the parade, the weather was atrocious as it just started chucking it down with rain. So we mainly stayed to the hotel interior. But the weather cleared up after the parade, and after I got something to eat at the NEC, I made a quick jaunt back to the Premier Inn to swap my fursuit head for my makeup kit. Yep, Face Paint Sandy was coming out to play on the final night of the convention. I didn't head back to the Hilton immediately. I actually stayed around my room at the Premier Inn for a while because just to have some quiet time to myself away from the hustle and bustle of the convention. And as the evening drew in, it was time for one of my new favourite events at Confuzzled, Jim's Saturday Night Travesty. On a Monday evening. Now, I'm not going to give a rating for Jim's show because I didn't sit through all of it. I did sit through all of Snout Down and Family Fortunes and a couple of rounds of Wheel of Foxtune. But seeing as the show was delayed by 35 minutes, I wanted to give myself proper time to prepare and get into makeup so I could go along to karaoke. To see Confuzzled out for another year was a night of music, singing and dancing. After getting right into makeup, I went straight to karaoke and oh my god, the wait! I had gone to karaoke at about 25 minutes after it started and I went straight for the request line. However, I think I was either the fourth or third to last person to actually get up and sing. Whilst I was waiting for my turn to come up, I would go to the bar to get a drink and pop my head outside for a couple of minutes to vape. And this meant that I missed Beauty of the Bass's classic trance set. Saying that, I was entertained by all the other karaoke singers, and I even got recognised by a few of the regulars. As for the rest of that night, I did manage to catch, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Rembimon's set in the nightclub, and I was reaching for the lasers until the late night hours. The closing ceremony at Confuzzled is always a bittersweet affair. And what made this year's closing ceremony even that little bit more sad was we had to say goodbye to one of the regulars of the Confuzzled staff. 2019 was the year Confuzzled would say goodbye to Matt Lyon. For those of you who don't know, Matt Lyon was Confuzzled's chief director for a number of years. And you see members of the convention staff come and go from time to time, and the main reasons why they leave are varied. They could say that don't have the energy, that they've started a new job, or they decided to settle down. Matt Lyon cited his reasons that his priorities in life had changed, and he could no longer focus his attention on organising a convention. Which is perfectly understandable in my book, and Matt, in the off chance that you are watching this, all I will say is good luck. And it's been a pleasure. The representatives from Gentle Shore Wildlife Centre also came out to give a speech, and even at the closing ceremony, attendees were giving their own individual donations. The estimated repair cost to Gentle Shore Wildlife Centre after their fire was around the £12,000 mark. Confuzzled had managed to raise in total, and these numbers are genuine, I actually did my research for this one. The total number of funds raised by the convention is a grand total of £30,265. In one 4-day convention, we had almost trebled their estimated repair costs. And you know what? That makes me feel fantastic. Because of all the flack that furries get, we did something genuinely good. The guests of honour also came out to give a little speech, and then the theme for Confuzzled 2020 was revealed. Confuzzled 2020 would be the world reborn. With that, the Eagle confirmed as guest of honour! Okay, looks like I gotta be quick on the draw for next year's registration. My final grade for Confuzzled 2019 is going to be an A- grade, and that's due to the lack of a Paw Pet show. Now, I was very tempted to call this a strike, but I can't really consider it a deal breaker, as it gave me a chance to branch out into the con and see what else was on offer. Positives: staying at another hotel with a non-residential sponsor pass and saving myself a little bit of money. Secondly, Brock's new suit looks amazing. Really, really like it. The size of the dealer's den, wow, just blew my mind. This was my first big convention where I properly fursuited. The amount of money we raised for Gentle Shore just warms the cockles of your heart, doesn't it? And finally, the big positive for me, all the hugs I got. The amount of people who came up to me and said, "We saw your BBC interview, we think you are an amazing person, and we need more people like you in the fandom." That noise you can hear is my ego inflating. Moving on to the negatives. First and foremost, delays, delays, delays. I might be in a minority here, but it seemed that a majority of the events I went to, bar a couple of exceptions, seems to be huge delays. Jim Saturday Night Travesty, delayed by 35 minutes. But then the Fursuit parade, when we were all gathering outside, again, another delay for about 20 minutes. The YouTube panel, the room wasn't set up, so we had to help the YouTubers set their room up. Also, that creepy fur, but I don't want to talk any more about him. And also, as I previously mentioned, no Paw Pet show, but again, that's not really a deal breaker. Before I sign off this video, I want to give out some shout outs. First of all, a big thank you to Corey Coyote, Shadow Raccoon and Theodore Rabbit for doing little 10-second intros for my videos. Now, you'll be able to see Shadow's and Theodore's in my upcoming projects. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. A big thank you to Mipsy of Furry Taylor Studios for making my awesome new paws. Bluey Husky for these lovely badges he gave me. Hi Bluey! Hi. A big thank you to the staff of the Birmingham Metropole Hilton for hosting our little menagerie. And also thanks go out to the convention's crew, the convention staff and the security teams for all the effort you guys put in. Really appreciate it. Shoutouts go out to Reg Dare, Seamus Wolf, Professor Gideon Klaus, Greskill, Tar Hyena and Baron Dragon for giving me somebody to talk to. And finally, I want to give a great big thank you to everybody who came up to me and give me their thoughts on my interview. And I will hopefully see all of you next year.
Come on now, don't let the night be over. Come on now, don't let the night be over. Come on now, don't let the night be over. Oh, come on now, don't let the night be over. After we leave, I hope that I'll see you next year. Oh, after we leave, I hope that I'll see you next year. Yeah, yeah. After we leave, I hope that I'll see you next year.
And that wraps up another episode of Furry Fandom Stories. Feel free to like and share this video, and also please subscribe if you haven't already. Was Confuzzled 2019 your best con? And if not, why not? Please leave your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you haven't checked out my BBC interview and are interested, it's on my Twitter feed, and as always you can follow me on Twitter at SandyBFox. I'm Frank Baldwin, aka Sandy Brushtail, and I'll see you again for another Furry Fandom story. And until then, take care.